10 top leading causes of death in the US. Before we dive into the video, make sure to like, subscribe and hit the bell icon. Around 74% of all deaths in the United States occur as a result of 10 causes. Over the past 5 years, the main causes of death in the US have remained fairly consistent. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC), there were 2,813,503 registered deaths in the United States in 2017. The age-adjusted death rate, which accounts for the aging population, is 731.9 deaths per 100,000 people in the US. This is an increase of 0.4% over 2016's death rate. However, the CDC advises that using age-adjusted rates is inaccurate for ranking causes of death. All figures and percentages provided here come from the most recent data from the CDC, collected in 2017. In this article, we expand on each of the leading causes of death and provide links to more detailed information on each condition. We also rank the causes according to the number of deaths per condition and their percentage share of the overall registered death count in the US. Number 1. Heart disease. Heart disease is the leading cause of death for both men and women. This is the case in the US and worldwide. More than half of all people who die due to heart disease are men. Medical professionals use the term heart disease to describe several conditions. Many of these conditions relate to the buildup of plaque in the walls of the arteries. As the plaque develops, the arteries narrow. This makes it difficult for blood to flow around the body and increases the risk of heart attack or stroke. It can also give rise to angina, arrhythmias, and heart failure. To reduce the risk of dying from heart disease, a person can protect their heart health by adopting a healthy diet and getting regular exercise. Being able to recognize the symptoms of a heart attack can also help people get prompt medical treatment and potentially save their lives. Watched the video so far? Then show some support and hit the subscribe button. Number 2. Cancer. Cancer occurs when cells do not die at a normal point in their life cycle. If a person's body cannot control the spread of these cells, they can interfere with essential, life-sustaining systems and possibly lead to death. Everyone has some degree of risk, but for most cancers, the risk will increase with age. Some people have a higher or lower risk due to differences in exposure to carcinogens, such as from smoking or exposure to chemical pollutants. Genetic factors also play a strong role in cancer development. Race and sex also play a role in a person's risk of developing cancer, depending on the type. That said, lung cancer causes more deaths than any other cancer in both men and women. However, researchers are always taking steps to advance cancer treatment. In fact, the death rate from all cancers in the US has dropped by 26% since 1991. Number 3. Unintentional injuries. Accidents, or unintentional injuries, are the fourth leading cause of death in the US overall, and the leading cause of death for those aged 1 to 44. Possible prevention measures. Accidents are unintentional and usually unavoidable. However, there are many ways to reduce the risk of accidental injury and death. Some key components of accident prevention include focusing on road and workplace safety, such as using a seatbelt and never driving or operating heavy machinery while under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Number 4. Alzheimer's disease. Dementia refers to a group of conditions that cause a decline in cognitive function. This affects a person's ability to perform everyday activities. Damage to the nerve cells in the brain causes dementia. As a result of the damage, neurons can no longer function normally and may die. This, in turn, can lead to changes in memory, behavior, and the ability to think clearly. Alzheimer's disease is just one type of dementia. Another type, called vascular dementia, can cause similar symptoms but instead results from changes to blood flow to the brain. For people with Alzheimer's disease, neuron damage and death eventually impair their ability to perform essential actions, such as walking and swallowing. People in the final stages of this condition may not be able to leave their beds and may require around-the-clock care. Alzheimer's is ultimately fatal. Watched the video so far? Then show some support and hit the subscribe button. In the US, an estimated 5.8 million people currently have Alzheimer's disease, according to the Alzheimer's Association. This figure may rise to 14 million people by 2050 as life expectancy continues to increase. Alzheimer's is also the only cause of death in the top 10 that medical experts cannot cure, prevent, or slow down. Number 5. Diabetes. Diabetes is a condition wherein the body can no longer control blood glucose, which leads to dangerously high levels of blood glucose. This is called hyperglycemia. Persistent hyperglycemia can damage the body's tissues, including those in the nerves, blood vessels, and eyes. The body converts most of the food people eat into glucose, a simple sugar, which it can then use for energy. The pancreas, an organ near the stomach, makes a hormone called insulin to move glucose from the bloodstream into the cells. There are two main types of diabetes, type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes. The bodies of people with type 1 diabetes do not produce insulin at all, so these people need to supplement their supply. The bodies of people with type 2 diabetes cannot use insulin effectively. However, it is possible to control the risk of type 2 diabetes with careful dietary management and regular exercise. Diabetes can cause serious health complications, including heart disease, blindness, kidney failure, and the need for amputation of the lower extremities. Number 6. Influenza and pneumonia. Influenza, or flu, is a highly contagious viral infection. It is one of the most severe illnesses of the winter season. Flu spreads easily from person to person, usually when someone who carries the virus coughs or sneezes. A person can have the flu more than once, as many different strains of the virus can cause infection. They may belong to one of 3 different influenza families, A, B, or C. Type of viruses tend to affect adults more severely, while type B viruses most often cause health problems in children. Type C viruses are fairly uncommon. Pneumonia, a serious condition that causes inflammation of the lungs, can cause complications in people who have the flu. Pneumonia causes the air sacs in the lungs to fill with pus and other fluids, preventing oxygen from reaching the bloodstream. If there is too little oxygen in the blood, the body's cells cannot function. This can be fatal. Watched the video so far? Then show some support and hit the subscribe button. Number 7. Kidney disease. Nephritis, nephrotic syndrome, and nephrosis are all conditions that affect the kidneys. Chronic kidney disease (CKD) causes kidney damage. Damaged kidneys cannot filter blood as well as healthy kidneys. As a result of this, waste from the blood remains in the body and may lead to other health problems. Around 30 million people in the US may have CKD to some degree. Being over 60 years old increases the risk of CKD, as does having a family history of it. High blood pressure and diabetes are most likely to cause CKD. CKD develops in stages, and it does not usually cause symptoms until its most advanced stage. So, undergoing regular screenings can help reduce a person's risk of dying from kidney disease. Number 8. Stroke. More than 140,000 people die each year from stroke in the United States. Stroke is the leading cause of serious, long-term disability in the United States. Each year, approximately 795,000 people suffer a stroke. High blood pressure, high cholesterol, smoking, obesity, and diabetes are leading causes of stroke. 1 in 3 US adults has at least one of these conditions or habits. You can take steps to prevent a stroke. Sometimes a stroke happens gradually, but you're likely to have one or more sudden symptoms like these: numbness or weakness in your face, arm, or leg, especially on one side. Confusion or trouble understanding other people. Difficulty speaking. Within the first 30 days, 1 in 8 strokes is fatal and 1 in 4 strokes is fatal within the first year, according to the Stroke Association. Rehabilitation after a stroke begins in the hospital, often within a day or 2 after the stroke. Recovery time after a stroke is different for everyone. It can take weeks, months, or even years. Some people recover fully, but others have long-term or lifelong disabilities. Number 9. Chronic lower respiratory disease. Chronic lower respiratory disease refers to a group of lung conditions that block the airflow and cause breathing-related issues. These diseases include chronic obstructive pulmonary disease (COPD), bronchitis, emphysema, and asthma. Smoking drastically increases a person's risk of developing these conditions. Number 10. Suicide. When a person dies by suicide, they may have lived with a mental health condition, such as depression, anxiety, or bipolar disorder, for a long time. However, not all people who attempt suicide or die might have these conditions. Suicide is the second leading cause of death among people aged 10 to 34 years. Establishing a strong support network, taking appropriate medications, and seeking therapy may help reduce the risk of suicide. Lifestyle habits will most likely have the greatest impact on a person's risk of developing some of these conditions. Eating healthy foods in optimal proportions, sleeping and exercising regularly, drinking in moderation, avoiding tobacco products and other drugs, and building healthy and positive relationships will all work to improve a person's quality of life and reduce their risk of premature death. Also, establishing an ongoing relationship with a doctor and undergoing regular screenings for conditions that run in the family can aid prompt treatment if these conditions do develop. That's it for this video, hope this helps. If you liked the video, then give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends, and for more interesting videos, subscribe to the channel. Also, if you have any questions about this video, or health, or fitness, then leave a comment, and we'll get back to you. Until next time.